Welcome to the T4TCS Podcast and YouTube channel. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and provide your feedback in terms of ideas and topics that you believe are related to T4TCS. We would like to take the time to let our viewers and listeners know that the information discussed here is not to be interpreted as a clinical approach to trauma and psychology. T4TCS was designed to provide insightful information on topics related to post-traumatic growth, finding solutions to somatic healing through a mind and body connection that works for you. It also serves as a platform for members from various communities to learn about positive effects of a trauma-informed approach to self-defense and martial arts training. And now, take the time to enjoy the show. Well, welcome back, everybody. This is going to be officially episode 14 for the T4TCS podcast. There's a lot that has been going on in the past couple of months. So yes, we've had a little bit of a break in recording the episodes. We had Mark down in the US leveling up with some IDS stuff. I'll let you talk about that a little bit. I've recently upgraded some of my training as well in terms of trauma treatment and dealing with CPTSD and dealing with PTSD in our 21st century contemporary landscape. So those are things that we've been doing. We've been busy also coaching my brother-in-law's baseball team, the Ajax Spartans, doing some conditioning training with them. So that's been really fun. I love it. But tonight we actually have a special guest on. So it's Kru David Edwards out of Kombat Arts in Mississauga. From what I understand, you and Mark have been training together. You guys have been knowing each other for a while. But I'll let you introduce yourself, Kru David.
Hello, audience. Good afternoon. I hope you guys have water and you're enjoying the heat. My name is Kru David Edwards, formerly from the world as they know me as just David Edwards. I somehow got crazy enough to say I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I decided to try something kind of original and wanted to help out the community. I created Bully Be Gone, that attacks and counterattacks bullying on many levels that we as leader and a participant in a really wholesome community have to deal with. It could be anything from youth all the way up to being an adult in a workplace. Bullying really doesn't have an age or a culture. What it really has is a focuses on weakness. So I try to do something that could address it for our community. And I've had ups and downs, but I've always been in the community. It hasn't given up on me yet. I haven't quit on it yet. And we're talking more than a decade. So I'm very happy about that. My martial art background to address the people that love martial arts and fight the good fight in the old school way of living. I have been focused on, let's just say, the stand-up striking arts for quite some time. Very boxing, Muay Thai, a little bit of Filipino stand-up martial arts, and I dip into other martial arts that really address my heart. And for the most part, it's been Muay Thai for my background that kind of made Bully Be Gone what it is. I've had a lot of great people, Sifu Mark, Sifu Joey, Professor Beckles, Coach Miles, Coach Raphael in boxing, my boys from Thick Boy. There's so many people that, have addressed certain things to me in the martial art world that I've adapted to Bully Be Gone to help out the everyday good person. And I'm very thankful and very blessed for that, and I hope I get more of that attention and success. That's me in a nutshell. I've been working with everyone with, you can say, the Peel School Board, all the way with Peel Police, all the way to privatized organizations that deal with mental health and helping out the community from Hamilton all the way to Scarborough. Um, it's been a crazy, crazy adventure, and it's been a very great appreciation on local. If that's the T-shirt I have on, right?
Yeah.
With everything that's going on in the world, I'm sorry, I'm kind of like fast tracking, but with everything that's going on in the world, we heard of something that's going on with the Middle East. We heard something going on in the States. We hear something going on all over the world with violence, war. Um, when it comes to what I do, I really don't feel if I could ever touch or make a difference in that magnitude of certain worldly conflicts that we have. But with Bully Be Gone and with what I'm trying to talk about, my local T-shirt and the local mindset, at least I could change something at my house. At least I could
Yeah.
change something in my own neighborhood and preach about, trying to be a one community. And, before we try and settle things with fists and conflict, maybe we could sit down and, try conversation and debate. Maybe that could help. So it's been a long way, Eric. It's been a long way, Sifu Mark. And I guess I'm in here for the long haul. I'm not quitting anytime soon. And here I am.
That's pretty good. And I mean, there's a lot that you just said there that, if you're okay with it, we can dive into some of the other, like I've got tons of questions, right? Like,
Mm,
um, but you're right. Like you said, if you can, if we can deal with conflict, I mean, there's a reasonableness behind it too, right? There's certain people in a conflict situation or in certain situations that they can't be reasoned with, and unfortunately, very unfortunate, um sometimes it has to result in a physical altercation,
yeah.
and sometimes those physical altercations don't end well. Some of them do end reasonably well, but there's still a residue, there's still a byproduct of the mental health side of things, the trauma side of things,
Absolutely.
depending on, and it's all situation dependent, right? There could be a family, like a father could be defending his family, and then the kid sees something. Well, that kid's never going to think of the father the same way, although the love is still always there. And
Oh man.
they may understand logically the reasoning behind why they defended them, but understanding now that dad or mom or whoever it was that defended them has a capacity for the amount of violence that they use to be able to, you know, subdue the situation or to help them live.
Mhm.
It changes people,
For
right?
sure.
Um, it changes people even in a sporting aspect, right? Not everyone has that capacity for violence, and they won't know that until they actually get into that situation. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, you guys have seen it more than I have in terms of coaching people in martial arts and stuff like that. So it brings me to my question in terms of like, what really, what sparked you? What was the spark that kind of pushed you in the direction of entrepreneurship, more specifically? And what what was that moment, if you're okay to share it? What was that moment that kind of got you into Bully Be Gone and really wanting to, that gave David Edwards that epiphany? He's like, I need to start giving back because I'm seeing something.
Uh, mm, those are two questions actually, but the
Yeah.
thing that made me want to actually start Bully Be Gone was, quite frankly, this was like 2007 or 2008, 2006, most like 2006. Um, Here it goes. Total honesty. If I get embarrassed, I get embarrassed. Who cares? I'm in the martial art world. I'm seen as a striker coach, boxing and Muay Thai, and uh, for to be frank, even MMA too. It's kind of cool, and now I'm getting into this limelight. I'm getting some respect. I'm getting some appreciation from outer clubs, from my home club, which is Combat Arts, And I'm looking at the industry of coaches that pretty much make a living off being a pad man, which is the guy that holds pads
Yeah.
and bees the coach for stand up. And I'm looking at the pool and the atmosphere that, or you could even say the division, the competitive division. And honestly, Eric, honestly, Sifu Mark, I'm like, I'm not top number one in 2006. I don't have an established institution. I don't got no pro fighters. I'm not one of the top 10 in Ontario, top 10 in Mississauga even. How am I going to really make a living out of this? Yes, I'm in North America and this is the country of dreams, but as much as we say North America is the country of dreams, you have to have reality to compound that. You have to have something to back it up.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I had a couple private lessons, but I had nothing to say I was completely outstanding. Outstanding. I'm not Freddie Roach. I'm not Trainer Ja from Thailand. I'm not the Mayweather, family. 2006. We're not talking now, but 2006. You could like,
Yeah.
let's be honest. But my caliber is nowhere near that. So I kind of felt down and I was a little depressed. It's like, how am I going to try and do something I love and make a living off that? And lo and behold, I remembered even at that time I was working with the youth, I was working with kids, I was doing a martial art program with kids for Kombat Arts, and it was very successful. I had a lot of parents, I had a lot of people come at me and tell me, what was vital to them was, the understanding of their parental pillars and values that they're trying to teach their kids with my style and the way how I showed martial arts and self-defense,
Right.
especially to youth. And one night I was just thinking about it. It was like, if I did start my own school, if I did start my own thing, that if I had my own path in martial arts where I can cut a path, what would I call myself? And I
Mm.
don't know. I just wrote it on a piece of paper, Bully Be Gone. It just sounded right. And then I went on the internet. I never saw anything like it. No one really had a copyright on that. And then it went from there.
Cool.
It absolutely went from there. What got me into that spark where I thought I had something with Bully Be Gone, I remembered it was quite a few years back, maybe a year after I started Bully Be Gone. And I'm promoting myself out there. Internet it was strong, but it wasn't as strong as now, the internet.
Yeah.
So my marketing skills for that was kind of weak, but I still promoted myself out there. I tried to make it a self-made entity,
Hmm.
just like maybe yourself or Seafood Mark. You always want to individualize your creativity with your martial arts or anything that you want to create as your own in the community, right? So as a payment of homage to the teachers that I come from, one of them being Seafood Joey, Seafood Mark knows that, Combat Arts, there's other coaches that I already named. I wanted to do something that they could see that they would be able to individualize, like that was him. Like I could see where we helped him, but that was him.
Right.
That's his fruit from the tree and the legacy of what we spawned as education for martial arts. I never depicted myself as the best fruit off the tree. There's so many great people that that have been coached from the masters that I know. One of them is Sifu Mark. What a blessed piece of fruit that is. But I
Oh, for
never
God.
thought I was that
Yeah.
vibrant. I never thought I was that vibrant. I thought I was just a traditional bloody red golden apple. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I wasn't a mango, I wasn't a pineapple, I wasn't a kiwi. It was just a fucking apple. Nothing big. And it kind of hurt because I was just like, well, where's my flamboyance? Where's my thing? Where's my zest? And when I started doing Bully Be Gone, I remembered I'm doing these kids seminars, and one of them I remembered I hurt my Achilles tendon. I damaged it pretty bad, and I was in my first 6 months of healing, and I accepted doing one for a school, and this school had literally, basically, the entire faculty and student faculty come into the gym to listen to what I have to say. And I was in an air cast. They gave me the mic. Sifu Mark knows this. I was in I was in my bald hair days. Okay, with my Akuma beads and my chain beads like Rampage. And Eric, we're talking about like 250 people in a room. Like, I've never experienced that.
That's
You know,
powerful.
and we're talking teachers, we're talking superintendents, you know, and they're all sitting there staring at me like they're all the same age, like they're all the same, IQ, all sitting down with their legs crossed. Adults do, the principal's in the front line, and I'm doing my spew, and it was just magnetic. It was what I said, they totally absorbed, and it went from comedy to sadness, to reality, to hope, to tactics, to anything that they needed. That when I left there, it was okay to feel challenged by the world. And when I left there and I took the bus home, I was just like, man, like if I pull up my laces and tie my sneakers properly and do this right, I could really make a living off this. I could really be a person that could be a true teacher making a living in Canada, not having a real job, not having, a 9 to 5, but a real career was something I love to do. And that was maybe a decade ago. And I'm still doing that. I'm still struggling. I'm still fighting the good fight. And somehow, within all this time, if you look at my Instagram now, Sifu Mark knows this too. I'm getting connected with, the Mississauga School Board, the Peel School Board, the Peel Police industry, helping out the police recruits now. And it's just slowly flourishing into more and more and more things. And all I got to do is literally keep my head down, enjoy that I do martial arts, love the people that are in the old way of doing martial arts, and keep going. And it's been a really crazy adventure. I'm really excited to see what happens at the end of this year. Summer school is about to start up. I have a program starting up with a school board, which I haven't talked about. I want to start posting that up with when July comes up. That might lead into an after school program that might affect Toronto and Mississauga. But a lot of great things are happening that I'm keeping silent, and it's all because I just felt I was different. And instead of thinking like in the retrospect of bullying, when you're different, you feel like you should be hide in the dark. I
Yeah.
took it as I'm different, and maybe I should just try something out. Like I'm not going to be a UFC coach, not yet, but I can definitely be an anti-bullying ambassador and a real model, not a role model, but a real model for some of these kids and some of these community areas that need help.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not the most flashiest thing, but you know what? I'm really self-fulfilled from it, and I really hope to God that this year is a breakout year, and I could really do something for the next year and the following years to come.
I've been watching Dave do his thing. I started training at Kombat Arts in 2007, and at that time, I remember shortly after I was there, I don't remember the year it was, but I remember he had Alistair Overeem was in town, and he had him speak to the kids, and just seeing Dave from that time grind, it's given me a lot of motivation to do my thing because I've seen Dave doing it for a long time, and I know he's done a lot for the youth. I know he's done it for my kids, especially. I remember during
Congratulations, Sophie. Big ups. Congratulations, Sophie.
yeah, she just had her grad. But I remember during COVID when they were home and my kids were struggling mentally, and I was just like I was just trying to think of what can I do with them, and one of the things I told them was like, why don't you guys do a Zoom class for Kru Dave? And I'll tell you something right now, the smile my kids had, and they had such a good time, and the motivation and just the smile he put on their face. I could see what he was doing in a small glimpse, just with my two kids. So I know, and I've been watching his social. Like I said, I've known Dave for a long time, but his passion and his hard work and dedication has never been less than. And to see him flourishing now and reaching into law enforcement stuff now, I just love seeing my friends win. So But that's another reason I wanted to have you on here, Dave. What do you find the most common thing is, or how do you address the most common effects of bullying when it comes to young individuals who are trying to not be afraid to be who they are after they've already experienced being pushed down?
So let's get into story time now. This is what it's really about. I remember the last time I was on a podcast with you, the stories actually, had a good effect. Um, so this one's actually pretty new and it's ongoing. All right. So we got an Italian family. Okay, old school Italian family. We're talking Paladin here. And their son has hypertension disorder. Okay. Might be slightly on the spectrum. I'm not gonna name any names. And what happens is he is from a very strong gene pool. Like this Italian family is not no shriveling modern family. Like they have good old school genes. We're talking garden in the backyard. Everything is grown from the backyard. This boy is built like a truck. All right. He's 15 years old, but he looks like LeBron James, if you know what I'm saying. And with this condition, he went into grade 8 looking like a strong, like if you saw him right now, he would look like a grown man. Someone in grade 8, a child that was like 1/4 his size, saw the majesty of this young man, saw how much potential he could have in sports. God knows what. He was just grown. He was bigger for his age. And absolutely started cracking on him. Absolutely started cracking on him. And because this kid was like the court jester of the school, because he couldn't play sports, because he was a little frail, his mouth was a weapon. He just attacked this guy that had like all the physical benefits to be an athlete or God knows what. So for the first half of the year, this kid is cracking on him. Mind you, no one's really telling the kid to stop mouthing off. The teachers are not saying nothing. Police can't get involved because it's just verbals. They don't want to go into school for verbals. The principal doesn't want to get involved because it's not being into a physical situation. They want the teachers to handle it. It's being passed down the buck, Erica and Sifu Mark. Okay. And here's this kid who comes from this background, strong Italian background, that even that he's on the spectrum and he has hypertension disorder, his father and his mom taught him, like, if you want to be a real man, pardon?
Handle it.
But hold on a second. They said handle it, but they said handle it like this. One-on-one, you shake hands, the old school Britain version of, the Celtics logo.
Yep.
Put your hands up, sir. Let's do it like this. That didn't compute to his world. No one for this 15-year-old does that. So he deemed it that what he was learning from his parents is wrong. Stand up for yourself, do it one-on-one, because there was nothing visually adapted to that atmosphere. It was just a guy talking trash, people around the guy talking trash, laughing at him. No one's putting up their hands. No one's trying to say, listen, man, if you're really, you want to sell this one-on-one or handle it or do it face up like old school, whatever. He's not seeing any of that. So when you don't see it, when you don't experience it, when you're giving just like a theory without application, he decided not to do anything. And that went for a year of him literally being verbally oppressed and bullied in the school, to the point that there were videos, they threw food on him, all kinds of crap. Okay. Now, he had to switch schools for that. So in high school, the mother called me up, and when she called me up, he was already in grade 9. She told me about the school switch. Would you believe that people from his grade school took the video, brought it to the other high school? They're not even in the high school. They found friends in the high school. And it started over again in grade 9. So what happens is now is he is believing that this is always going to happen this way. This is always going to be like this. There's no way out of it. He goes into lunch one time, the kid's making fun of him, and he ignores it. He turns his head and he gets smashed in the face with spaghetti and meatballs in the cafeteria. And everyone's laughing. Everyone's like, "Oh my God," with the videos and the cell phones, because they all have them. And he runs outside and he says to himself, "I'm never going to school again." This guy is the size of Shaq in retrospect, to a guy that's half the size of Kobe, just to make sure you understand this. And when I talked to him after that and we had our talk, I asked him, "Why did you not lay hands on him?" And the answer is, I didn't know what was going to happen. When everyone was throwing food at me, when everyone was doing this to me, when everyone was making fun of me and they circled me, like guys, like, I want you to really soak this in. The kid is the size of Shrek. And there's like 5 or 6 donkeys running around him trying to make fun of him. And if he was given any type of martial knowledge, like, think about the damage this boy would have done. Nothing. He ate that. He ate it and ate it and ate it. And when I started talking to him, he started realizing that he needed an outlet, because his outlets at 14, 15 were literally, "I'm going to go to lunch every damn day, high school, outside and eat lunch." Brothers, his mother was crying to me I answered the phone at like 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m. when we talk. All right. Because that's when parents talk when they're stressed out. I don't know. Okay. That's in my field. That's when I get the realest out of my parents. They call me up at 2 a.m. I see my phone. I wake up. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I see the number. I'm like, I cannot believe we're having this conversation now. He went to lunch sometimes, guys, and it was fucking raining. And people, teachers, security saw this. He's outside by the park. It's raining. There's water hitting his bowl of pasta or whatever he's eating. It's turning into soup. He don't give a shit. He's anything to avoid going back in that cafeteria. So the end of our conversations, I never saw him eye to eye, like physically eye to eye. It was always by phone and with his mom. We got him into the Brampton boxing club. And from there, things got a lot better. And what got better was he found out, maybe I had a little touch on it, maybe I didn't, but I was just glad that I could direct him to someone that had a foundation in martial arts that could make him understand it. That when he got there, he started to realize that he was not a victim and he wasn't a person that is susceptible for verbal abuse and oppression. At any time, it clicked into him when he was doing the jabs and the crosses and the combos that he can defend himself. He could absolutely defend himself. But the manner of how he did it would have an effect.
Yeah, there's always a price to pay for it, right? Like, there's no matter the reasoning behind it, there's always going to be a price to pay.
Yeah. So with my boy now, he's going to boxing. He's going back to the school. Somehow he gets back into the cafeteria and this kid starts messing with him again. He stands up to the kid, and I mean, he's towering over him. He says, "If I were you, I would back off or this gets real bad for you." No cursing. He just says it like that. Okay. This kid acts like a fool, like he did it. Like, I don't know, man. Who's a good one? Let's just say Floyd Mayweather, because it's the quickest one. He acts like Floyd Mayweather before the fight show. So before the fight, they're talking trash. He acts like Conor McGregor. How about that? So the little kid is Mr. Conor McGregor. He's talking that trash. He's saying all this shit. He's saying all that trash. And then my big kid is just like, this will go bad for you if you keep pushing. Because I'm at the point now where I'm done talking and I'm going to touch you to control the situation. In that moment, that kid revealed to the whole everyone around him that all he was a broken record. Ah, you're stupid. Ha, you're dumb. Ha, you're stupid. Ha, you're dumb. Okay, you know what? You can say that all you want, but now I'm at the point where, you know what? I'm not listening to you. And if you want to hurt me, you got to really hurt me. Or, this is done. I'm tired of your shit.
Yeah.
Hi, you're stupid. Hi, you're dumb. Hi, you're stupid. Hi, you're dumb. So now the collective people around him started realizing, like, dude, this is not entertaining anymore, because, like, most groups and most collectives, they don't think with their brain. They just think about what's exciting and what they see that makes them laugh. They're starting to see that, you know what, this joke is stupid now. It's a little guy with a big mouth messing with a quiet guy with a big body who doesn't want no trouble. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And right there, half of his bullying shut down for the year.
There you go. Nice.
Half of it, just by doing that. Now, from that experience, it really made him believe and trust in himself. At the end of this year, he wants to go into what was it again? What did he say he wanted to do? Construction. He wanted to build houses.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be prejudiced. He's Italian, like, obviously, like, whatever. But at the point, what I'm trying to make is, all right, what I'm trying to make is he wanted to control his life now.
Yeah. Well, he has a sense
Right?
of agency that's returned to him now, right?
Right. And that was the biggest thing. I don't see a lot, Eric, Mark, I don't see a lot of kids having that. I see a lot of kids going through the bullying thing, and they don't have that little moment of an epiphany where they start to realize where, you know what, I'm a lot stronger than I think. I think our generation, I'm an 80s child,
Okay.
we, even though we were bullied, we went through our hardship. Maybe there was prejudice, maybe there was racism, maybe there was family issues, maybe, who knows? Okay, like, we're living on North America. Who, God knows the crap that could happen to any one of us. But somehow it was instilled self-preservation and perseverance in the 80s. How it happened, I don't know. Parents, friends, I don't know. That is lost in the new generation. Generation G or Z or God knows what letter they're on right now. It's gone. So when that goes missing, you have so many kids, and they're not predators, they're not evil, but there is so much evil exposed on the media that our innocent ones are just in trouble. They don't know how to handle it. And that's a concern. My kid got away. He got lucky. Even though it was a 2-year despair, he still ended getting out of high school with a sense of himself with integrity and to do something for himself.
Yeah.
Right. And that was just by just hinting to him, go to a martial art club, find out a little bit about boxing. You might like boxing, you might not, but there's going to be a coach there that's going to make you see a bigger part of yourself.
Yeah.
And that was the spark that got him to kind of be like, the way I'm living is not right. If that makes sense.
100%. 100% it does. And you're right. Like, there's so much going on. Like, the 2 generations after us, and even us. I mean, I'm at the low end of the 80s. I don't know about you guys, but like, I was 82, but still had structure and stuff like that. I had a military, there's military background in my family and in my upbringing. But the other thing too is that there's exposure. There's exposure for bullying from every angle now. Like, when we were in school, when the three of us were in school, if there was any bullying, when we came home, if we had a positive outlet or somebody to listen to us when we got home, nobody can get to us there. It was a safe place. If it was a safe, and I'm not saying all people's homes are safe places, because there's other people that experience domestic violence and abuse at home. So that is not a safe spot. But what I'm trying to get at is that when you left school, the bullying stayed there for the most part. Now everybody has access to you from every angle,
Yeah.
especially people are on social media.
Yeah.
And so even when you're not around, kind of like what you described with this young man, he's being videotaped, it's being shared. Even when he's not around and he doesn't know about it and he's not aware of it, people are finding out about this person not because he wants them to, but because others think it's funny and they're preying on his vulnerability.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't give us a chance to sort of take stock in what's going on and restore agency at the end of the day. And so it just further puts us down that pipe of or it just continues to add those little T traumas that they call them in the world, in the traumatology world and the psych world. And then it just keeps building.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, you know, thankfully he had a lot of wherewithal and he had the patience, but it still kind of put weight on him. But then he found a place to go. He found an outlet, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
but not everybody does,
Yep.
right? Sometimes it's a couple of months because nobody knows what's going on at home. So if we have things that are happening at home and then you walk into that environment, some people within a couple of days, they're either the switch is flipped and they're gone off the deep end and they're extremely violent, or they get so depressed that and unfortunately, and for those that are listening, I've been teaching suicide intervention for a while, and I've been a traumatologist since 2021. The statistics on adolescent or on male suicides, specifically kids, unfortunately, are pretty high, and the age group is between 10 to 14.
It's crazy. It
And the
is.
statistics are increasing right now
Mm-hmm.
as we speak. It is sad, so sad. So it's great. I think it's amazing for people doing like what you're doing with Bully Be Gone, because this helps people. Really, it truly does. And if it's only a couple of people a year or a couple of people every month, at least it's doing something extremely positive for someone. So the the success personally and the entrepreneurship and stuff like that might not come right away, but the success in terms of helping the community and then the ripple effect that has with that one person, is a huge impact. And we may never know exactly where that person's gone afterwards. It's kind of like what I tell people is like, Mark, he's going to laugh at me. I was going to say I used to be a weirdo, but he's going to say I'm a weirdo anyways.
Hmm.
When I was younger and I was going through some stuff, I just decided to be funny one day when I was driving, and I was at a red light. And at the time, I thought I was cool because I had a 2003 Sunfire GT, and it was black, and it was a 6-speed V6, and I had it was the best car that I ever had. And there's this girl parked in the left turning lane beside me, and she looked devastated. I don't know, who have no idea. Windows were down. It was a hot day. She looked over. I looked over at her, and I just like opened my mouth, smiled, and it just started being silly and waved. And she smiled and then just drove off. When I think about what I've been trained in now, that moment could have changed the course of what the rest of her evening could have been, right? Simply because I did something out of the ordinary and gave her, I don't know, I smiled. It's the same thing when we reach out to people that we know maybe are struggling. If we just talk for 14 seconds, that's what they say the average is. If you give somebody 14 seconds of your time just to ask them how they're doing, and truly how they're doing, not to get the answer fine. When they say fine, kind of dig a bit more, because we're dudes, we're guys. Somebody asks us, even when we're having a bad day, we're gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing okay." It's being able to push past that, right? Not the 5 seconds, but to the 14. And that does it. The statistics are showing that does have an effect, a positive effect on people. It changes the course of their day,
Mm-hmm.
good way. So, I mean, you're doing great stuff,
Appreciate it.
right? You might not see all of the stuff that happens in the background, but it has a ripple effect throughout the community. And he's probably talking, hopefully, maybe he's talking to his friends about it. Like,
this is what helped. Just one conversation with Kru David helped me out.
Well, I hope so, because you know, in this community, like that type of momentum and that type of energy is something that we really, really need. With my youth that I see that's going on in different areas in Brampton, Toronto, Mississauga, all of that, you know, there's just not enough of that. Um, there is hope for our kids. There's a lot of good kids with good upbringing, good parents that are still bringing up good old values and everything. But the truth is, the exposure to things that could corrupt your child and, you know, make them think elsewise is way more powerful and more easier access. That's that's just how it is. So the very little is probably the best that we got, and I'm happy to be on that front line for that. I really am.
Yeah, no, I see your show, so I mean, it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. I love it. So
when you're doing these talks and you're reaching out to mass people, what do you find is the common message that you're giving, that's you're seeing is giving the most impact to these kids? And not only that, like, since you've been doing this, like, what did you say, 2006? 2006, we're in 2025. You know, what these kids see and have access to, as you've already mentioned, has changed tremendously. What is it that you used to talk about or used to see the problem being before versus lately that has had a significant impact in the way that people are being bullied?
That's a deep one. One thing that's really given impact, that from when I started to what I'm doing now, is, it might sound cliche, guys, and again, like, there's parents that agree and there are parents that disagree. And this is where it comes to my personal success. You know, if I was doing it perfectly, you know, I'd be driving Lamborghini, God knows, a Range Rover, have my own house, da 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 da. It would have been kind of like a household name and an institution in itself. But when you're working with anti-bullying and what I do, you know, like, as cool as I'm trying to make it look on Instagram, sir, I'm at the bottom of, I'm poorly equipped. I don't have enough people. I don't have enough resources. Next to the negatives of what these kids see, I'm outgunned so badly. But the thing that what makes, I find that parents come back to me, and even this weekend I was in Brampton until I think around 2 o'clock, and I was talking to a very powerful family in Brampton, and they're asking me if I had just a little time to take care of their boys. Um, get this, it's the transparency. The parents want me to show their kids how to get away from bullying, how to prevent bullying. I show their kids, for me to show you how to get away from bullying, how to overcome bullying, how to tactically, you know, evade or engage bullying to stop it. You have to understand martial arts. And what I mean by that is, a lot of parents, um, let's say in the last decade, they have shied away from letting their children experience failure and hardship. And now when you take that away, or you mask that from your child, and then they go into a group with other children who, in their own collective, they're going to create what fails, what succeeds, what's success, and what's hardship. They don't know how to react to that. And then they show a means to be taking advantage and persuaded, if that makes sense. Right? A lot of the parents that, you know, come from the 80s, or we say we have old school parents, or we have the Nona with the gold chain, with the wearing all black gown, that lived in the kitchen, that if you made any wrong move, she'd beat you with you know, a broom and all that type of stuff.
the wooden
You
spoon,
know,
yeah.
a wooden spoon, all that stuff. Those those entities in our lives, even though at that moment when we're being disciplined, or we're seeing discipline happen, or we're seeing those people freak out, that was compulsory to what made us the adults that we were today, and um how we saw society today. The kids now, they don't see society as gray. I really think as an 80s child, it wasn't like black and white. It was gray. You did something, you paid for it, and then a couple of days later, you found out how bad it could have been if you didn't get in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, you always got punished. Sometimes you don't know why you got punished, but a couple of days later, it kind of dawned on you, or someone told you, one of your friends was like, well, this could have happened, or my friend did this, and this is what happened. It was a really weird gray that we lived in. All right. Gray meaning that you never really got out of trouble, but the trouble that you got into possibly saved you when you got to be a teenager or 20 years old. Now we're dealing in the last 10 years where it's not gray, it's black and white. All right. You're cool or you're not cool. You're in or you're not in. You have money or you don't have money. You have connections or you don't have connections. You're in the cool group or you're not in the cool group. You're a nerd or you're not a nerd. Like, the kids are so cutthroat right now. They don't have time to be like, oh, well, he's just cool. Why don't you just leave him alone? He's figuring out his way. The majority of kids right now is, nope, you're not in our cookie cutter world. You're out. And if you're out, then we are against you. We're going to use anything we can that we can better our position from you.
Yeah.
Meaning that if you're on the playground, all right, and you see a kid that, everyone likes basketball, and there's one kid that's like really humble and really cool that plays basketball, he's really good, yeah, he's good at basketball, but what kind of shoes is he wearing? Oh, he's wearing Velcro. Okay, we got to get him for the Velcro. We got to hit him for the Velcro. We got to get him for not wearing the right shoes. We got to get him for not talking right. It's black or white. I honestly think our way of growing up was a little bit more understanding.
I think
In the 80s and the 90s, even when it came to beef, in the 80s and 90s, there was still 1-on-1.
Yeah.
There was still 2-on-2. There was still 3-on-3. In the last 10 years, dude, there is no, like, if there's a 1-on-1, it's like, it's popularized like it was UFC on the basketball court.
And that's if it is a true 1-on-1, right? Like,
Yeah.
How rare is an actual just standard fisticuffs now? That doesn't happen. There's an edged weapon, there's a knife involved, and
there's always something new.
They're doing this for Graham, right?
There's always something new.
I can check real quick. I think a lot of it too is also social engineering. If you look at political where the politics is right now, it's exactly what you're describing. It's either you're with us or you're against us.
Absolutely.
There's no common ground, and the problem is the kids are learning this, the kids are seeing this, and then the kids are implementing it. So it's just passed on to the youth. The other thing too is if you think about all the role models that we had in our generation, who can you look at in today's age and say this person's a good role model? Nobody.
That's another thing. Who are our children exposed to?
Nobody.
When even in our age, in the 80s, like, shit, man.
Look what masculinity looked like. Look what masculinity looked like in the movies.
Yeah.
Look at a guy like Bruce Lee in the 60s, early 70s. Look at a guy like Muhammad Ali. People that went against the grain. People that said, no, I'm not going to go fight your war. Willing to lose, willing to risk it, willing to give up, willing to sacrifice. Why? Because they were willing to stick to what they believed in. That message is not relevant today. It's not being taught today. Kids don't want to lose.
I remember in the 80s and 90s, I'm not saying, like, again, because other people are going to listen to this and they're going to know if I'm talking shit. Okay? That's just the reality of it. All right? But I remember in the 80s and 90s, and you guys could nod or not nod, but I remembered personally in the 80s and 90s, it wasn't the coolest thing, but if you were but working out and being outside was an okay thing to do.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to get better at something, if your boys were like, yo, we're going to go out and play ball, we're going to go out into the basketball court, we're going to go and do this, it wasn't that much of a problem to do.
Nope.
It wasn't that much of a problem to say, yo, we're going to play some sports, come back home, and this might seem cliche, I might get burnt for this, and people might laugh at me. You want some water? You go to the side of the house where the hose is. You drink the damn dirty hose water. It's always ice cold.
Yep.
We all know hose water is always ice cold. We're happy and you're good. Now, let's go to the park. Let's go to play ball. You're not even going there to play ball. You're going to watch people. I've been to the court to see how these kids go. The majority of the kids that go to the park are not going to the park to do anything proactive. They're just chilling.
Yep.
They're just chilling. Right? They don't have water bottles. They have Prime. What the hell is Prime? You know, that Prime drink from yeah, man. You know, I remembered if you did well, someone saw you working out or having a good time in the park, one of the old heads, you know, one of the senior dudes, or your parents or your older brothers, or hell, just guys at the park that were like, we had dudes that might have caused trouble, but they understood the importance of like youth bonding and like being healthy. You might get a Gatorade, and it was yellow. It wasn't multicolored like now. You know, now just to go to the park and see your kids work out, you got to give them chocolate, Prime drinks. You got to give them their fully charged cell phone with a charger. They got to have a portable PlayStation 5. They need all their friends with $200 in their pocket. All right. And on top of that, when they're leaving, they're going right to like melt and dip. They're going to a dessert place. There is no physicality anymore. It's very rare. It's very rare, and that's because of the exposure again. And it goes back to what Seafood Mark has been saying, like that exposure of looking at your role models. Our role models back in the 80s and 90s, okay? You know, like you had Rambo, you had Wesley Snipes. I don't know. I'll even put Russell Crowe in there. I'll put Robert De Niro in there. I'll put Al Pacino in there, even though I never seen them work out in their lives. You know, but all these guys had character. All these guys had character, and if you research them, they did something. Morgan Freeman, like I don't care, man. Denzel, I don't care who you talk about. All right, these guys had character, man.
It's funny you're mentioning those ones, and it's because if you see some of the clips now, and I watch them, that like they're still against the grain, right? And then like the contemporary Hollywood style, like the pandering to the masses and the virtue selling.
Not De Niro.
Those actors. Well, okay, yeah, maybe not him, but the others that you mentioned, like Denzel, right? The Pacinos. It's funny because people are expecting a different answer when they ask him a question, and then he's like, no. He's like, no. People have gotten too comfortable with disrespecting people nowadays, and they need to be taught a lesson, right? But we can't do that because the person that actually has the moral compass well calibrated is the one that the masses are going to chastise, right? And I can't remember the quote specifically from Denzel, but I remember watching him like in a group, and he was being asked the question by some of the more contemporary people. I'll just leave it there. And I know it was a bait question, and he saw it, and he basically said the same thing that I just said. It's like, no, we've made a mistake, and we need to course correct soon, or we're in trouble.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's also part. I shouldn't say I think, but it can, and reasonably so, be part of that vulnerability that we see here. And it's no fault of the children, of the kids, the youth. It's because the attention is not there with the children. It's I've got to be on my phone because the next message in my social is coming in. The parents are also in their phone, right? I see people, and unfortunately, I think it's a 50-50 in our generation, the 80s and 90s and the 70s and stuff like that. There's some of us that are pretty strict and we're pretty diligent in the way that we want to teach our kids. And there's others that are my age that I look at and I'm like, And then you ask yourself why there's an issue there, right? There's an attachment system that's not being bonded with the child. And where do you think the child is going to go with that attachment? They're going to seek something else, or
they're going to seek something else,
or they're going to try and get your attention. And how are they going to do that? They're going to throw tantrums. They're going to do this stuff. And if they don't do that and they go somewhere else, where do you think they're going to go? Somebody or somewhere, and people that are going to accept them. But not everybody's going to accept them. So then they're going to be susceptible and vulnerable to the bullying. If they do get accepted, who knows if it's the right crowd? Right? So there's all kinds of stuff that's just falling apart right now. So having programs like Bully Be Gone, like there's certain things that we're doing with T4TCS and stuff like that, and just having this podcast, having something for someone and those people that are feeling like there's nothing else out there, if they can just watch it for a few minutes and figure it out, oh, wait a minute, I'm not the only one. That's the important thing, right? But also, we're trying to educate people, and look, we got to look inside. We got to do some interoception here and figure out what is it that we're doing that is having a negative impact here, right? I know I'm like this. I don't know, Kru Dave, if you have kids or anything like that. Mark and I, we talk about this a lot. Is like the one thing, if I can be successful in one thing, only one thing, in raising my daughter, if that one success can be that no matter what happens to her at any point in her life, if that one success could be that she feels comfortable to come and talk to me no matter what.
Oh man, communication with the parent is so. And man, I was in Milton Muay Thai. If you know where that is, I know Sifu Mark knows where that is. Highly acclaimed Muay Thai club.
Yeah,
and I remember it was a short-lived success. It didn't last as long as I wanted to, but 50 kids between 6-10 years old sitting down waiting for me to like start this anti-bullying program. Kru is there, his champions who are assistants to the course are all there. Like I'm talking like national Muay Thai champions, okay?
Yeah.
And the parents are there. And these parents, they're around the Hamilton and Georgetown region where it's being developed. So everyone's like, they're high caliber. Like there's a guy that he runs his own construction firm. Another guy is with like a waste dumping management company.
Yep.
High level parents. Like it was a very nice blessing. And I'm being bombarded with like, you got to say something that's really spiritually strong for the kids in anti-bullying, Dave. Kru Dave, you got to make sure you say something that's strong on anti-bullying. You got to make sure like the thing that you say, it has to like hook these guys. So after like, peeing in my pants because I'm nervous and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm not Miyagi. I'm not Yoda. Like, what the hell am I going to tell these people? Like, I'm not a parent, actually. Sifu Mark knows this. I'm not a parent. I don't have my own children. I'm pretty sure I don't have my own children. Okay. Joke. Just joke. Yeah, but I'm like, how am I gonna give knowledge to people that, they're 5 years in?
Yeah.
And on top of that, they've gotten to the point where they've put their kid into a great martial art program. You know what I mean? Like, bro, what am I going to say to these people? How are they going to even listen to me? Like, do you have a kid? No. Shut up.
Right. You're worried like you don't have that relation, like that relation to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if one of my favorite comedians, if like Bill Burr was in front of me and said, "Oh, you're an anti-bullying kid. Oh, you work with kids. Oh, that's great. That's great. You got kids? No. Go fuck yourself." You know what I mean? Like that's Bill Burr right there. Like, shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, what can I say to these guys? So I get on small story. It's getting to a small story anyway. So I get onto the floor and I'm like, hi, I'm Kru David. I'm going to talk to you about bullying. And, some of the kids are like, oh, that's great. Some of the older kids are like, oh, here we go. Just say no, walk away, stop, no, and don't. Half the parents are like, okay, let's start drinking coffee, sit into the chair, get ready to start napping. And the first thing I said was, okay, guys, do you really want to get into like an understanding about bullying? Do you really want to know about bullying? And they're like, yeah. Okay, I'm going to say some real stuff. Do you want to hear the stuff that you're not supposed to know? Like the stuff that your parents don't want to tell you and the teachers don't want to tell you? And they were like, yeah. I'm like, okay, can I tell you guys about a street fight that happened with someone that was around your age? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, there's two parts of the story. One part is the first time that he got jumped, he got beat up. Hands down. 3-on-1, he got beat up. The second time that it happened, or even better, the last time it happened, he scared off two of the bullies, and the one that was causing the biggest problem, he beat him up in a fight and then reported himself to the principal. All right. The whole crowd was just like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? This is something to listen to. All right. And I was like, okay, I got them into a little bit of the story. And I paused it and I went, guys, do you know what is the worst thing that this person did before he got beat up, or after he got beat up, what he did? And everyone's trying to say, oh, he didn't do the ninja choke. He didn't grab a brick. He didn't kick in the balls. He didn't push in the eyeballs. He didn't do jujitsu. He didn't do wrestling. I was like, listen, all that was crap. Even if it was a martial art that he knew. All right. There's something before that he didn't do. So now the parents are looking at me, the owner is looking at me, the kids are looking at me, and they're like, well, what do you not do, Kru Dave? Like, what do you got that we haven't heard? He never told his parents he was being bullied. He never told his parents that he got beat up in a fight. It lasted 3 months before he finally said something.
Mm.
The one thing that I don't even care if you're not a kid. I don't care if you're a grown-ass man or a grown-ass woman. Eric, you have the statistics on this for sure when it comes to you too, Sifu Mark. You guys know self-defense. You guys know the statistics. And when I say this, is going to make you guys go, you're damn right, of people who've been assaulted, verbally abused, and don't say shit. They don't report it.
Because of
all of that, right? So now when I said this to the group, they were like, wow. I'm like, how many of you guys go into a jam or go into a problem and you don't tell nobody? You don't tell nobody. And at your age right now as a child, imagine that. You go to your school, someone says F you or makes fun of you or says something wrong to you, and it hurts your feelings, and you go home, you see your parents staring at you because they know something's wrong. They can see it in your eyes, and then there's just this quiet get glaze where you're just staring at them, they're staring at you, nothing's said, and then one person goes into their bedroom and the other person goes into the kitchen to make a sandwich or goes back to lawn work or watch the TV, and nothing's said until something really bad happens. And I totally agree right there, Erica, is before the martial arts come into play, there needs to be a really open form of communication, because I sent this to Sifu Marco a couple of days ago. Even you with a bad, even if you're seen as a bad as a negative perspective on yourself, even if you have a negative perspective on yourself and no one in your household really addresses you, there is someone waiting outside that could use you for a worse perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that, Sifu Mark? I sent you that Skeletor thing. Like,
Yeah.
even if no one cares about you, there's someone out there that could use that non-care to make it even worse.
Yeah.
There's always someone that could use you for something worse.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like we can have, I like what you said. I feel like we can have a part 2
I think we should.
podcast. And I think we should, because that, and I think that one can go into, and this is some of the darker stuff that I've studied, and unfortunately, anyway, that they're going to use it for worse. You look at human trafficking, you look at people being exploited on social media, all of that stuff. We can dive into a whole other subcontext to that, just that piece alone, on the vulnerability of children, especially being exposed on social media and not having an outlet, going into the room, like you were saying, logging onto Facebook. I'm having a hard day, whatever it is. Nobody's listening to them, but you got that one creep. Oh, I can help you. Right? I mean, again, we can have a part 2, and I think we really should, because I love what you're doing. I love the perspective that you're bringing. I know I've seen you a few times. It's been almost a year since I've been coming about once a month to Combat. Thankful to Sifu Mark actually for that, and to Joey for having me once a month. I'm fine. I'm happy that you're on the show. And there's so much that we can talk about. So much, because
So
I think
when you, just for reference, you're there every Saturday?
once the first Saturday of every month. Sorry about that.
Okay,
Like,
I'm gonna start being a better
one
representative of Muay Thai and being a lot more responsible when I see you. Don't, because on Saturday, Saturday, I got. So the fighters Saturday is like, you gotta understand. I'm working with some savages, man. So it's hard. Listen, man, young men are hard to manage when it comes to Muay Thai and violence. So if you've heard me say something, or I'm just trying to keep peace, you gotta take in the people and the soldiers I'm working with. Now
That's
that you told me
okay.
the
That's
date,
okay. Yeah, no, it's been the first Saturday of the month for the
Saturdays,
past little
man.
bit. So, but no,
Thursdays
I've
would have been
seen
way
you. I've
better.
heard you. You're a great coach. You run an awesome program. You I don't know. You have some. You say what you say, but I watch what you do, and I'm like, this guy's got you. You've got them. You got them working.
Kru Dave's a
Right?
gem. Kru
I
Dave-
try.
Like you
Dave's a
do
gem.
your thing, and
Oh my goodness, that's so old school.
I got it. Still,
Oh my, I had that in white.
yeah, bro.
Oh man, I got to get those back, man.
I love it.
Eric, I had a dream that, like, there was a part of my career with the Bully Be Gone.
Yeah.
It was going somewhere, and you know what? I didn't get what I wanted early, and especially with the apparel. A part of me kind of felt cried and went into my little rock.
Okay.
But I guarantee you, Sifu Mark, thank you for showing me that. New stuff is on the way. I'm bringing it back, man. I'm bringing that life back.
I'll tell you right now, with what we've been doing with T4TCS, with regards to somatic healing and training for people who have been through, like first responders, law enforcement, people who have been abused, all that. You know what? They all have kids. They all were kids. And for me, what you do with Bully Be Gone is perfect. Fits perfectly in our wheelhouse together. We gladly send people your way. Anybody who has children, anybody who needs that.
Thank
And
you.
for me, I just see you as an ally and good people trying to be a light in a dark place. Much respect.
Thank you so much.
You're a gem in the community, and I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you so much. There's so much more I'm going to be doing, guys, on Instagram, YouTube. I want to open up my own channel soon. And honestly, just keep on with more stories. And like you've seen it before, Mark, I used to do those small commercials about, sad parts of training, where I had my logo, and then someone, good story is, you remember Strickland, right? It was one of my old commercials that kind of hit home to a lot of people. But as Sifu Mark knows, Eric, on my good training months and my seasons, I do run the hills on Sundays. Me and a guy that's a CEO, he's a big man in the CEO industry in Canada. Every Sunday he likes to train. Every Sunday, like, he's the guy that takes care of business when people have to be taken care of and supported in the prisons for safety. He's the guy that will save your life. So, and he's an ex MMA fighter, light heavyweight actually. So every Sunday he we have a bromance going where usually every Sunday I wake up at 6:30. He has 2 kids, so his only time to do this hellish run, which I hate, is around like 6:45 on a Sunday morning. So my black ass gets up, get ready, I get in his car, and we go do this shit, right? And I I gotta say, man, like those those moments are gearing points of why I do what I do. You know, those are staples to my life. Like I didn't do it this weekend, unfortunately, because I was taking care of my aunt. But it's those things that, you know, that really differentiates me from caring and not caring about anti-bullying. Because when I do that type of training, I'm thinking about who are the people I'm going to be training during the week. And if I don't do my training, what type of energy am I going to bring to them?
Mhm. Yeah.
So if I don't do my runs, if I didn't go to the club today and get beaten up by Scotty, Sifu Mark knows who I'm talking to, the tattooed dude, and him elbowing me and beating the shit out of me for his fight.
He's come
You
such a
know,
long way, by the way.
he has come such a long way.
It's a testament to your tutelage.
I just wish he wouldn't hit me. But fuck, he has to hit somebody, right? But when I do that stuff with guys like that, and then I know that tomorrow I'm gonna be in Sandalwood in Brampton with a 14-year-old, sorry, that's about to go into high school and is gonna be exposed to all these things. You know, I need that backup to do what I do. And just like you guys, Strickland has been watching me do this for years on the back end. You know, and that though the conversations we have, the conversations that we're having now, you know, sometimes I want to say it's about money. I really do, because we all want to get paid. But the words that I hear from you guys, the words that I hear from Strickland, I could tear up right now. That will get me through the year more than a red note or a brown note.
Money will come, brother. Money will come, and
You know,
the work that you're
so
the work that you're doing is gonna last well after you're gone. You know,
yeah.
and that's the thing. People like us, you know, we have there's something in us that's wanting us to do this, whether it's for healing ourselves, or just being a light for other people.
Who knows, man?
All I know is open invitation for you to come here and talk about anything you want to promote, anything upcoming that you're gonna do. Open
Yeah.
invitation, and we can collaborate in the future if you want. I'd love to
I'm
do that.
I'm really excited with our internal seminar that we're gonna do. Sifu Mark. That to me is another kind of like twinkle in my sky at night, because I, like you see me, I've done a lot of anti-bullying courses. I've done anti-rape courses, man. Like I even forgot about that. Like we're talking like 30 little girls on a swim team sitting down, and I'm talking to them about abuse from a female perspective and what I've been through. And it I know I have something, man. I know I have something to share with this world. And I'll go as far as I honestly feel that, you know, all three of us, you know, God chooses the vehicles he wants to drive.
Yeah.
God chooses whoever he wants to drive, man. And you know what? I'm not a Ferrari, I'm not a Lamborghini. I just know I'm not a Hyundai Pinto. Okay? And even if I was, at least I can get to A to B and spread the word. So you know, it's been a long road. A lot of success, a lot of failures. I have a great opportunities coming up in this school year that's ending, hopefully with another school year that's going to be starting in September. And we haven't even scratched the surface. I have so many stories about this year, kids I've worked with, and bullying is never going to go away. If I could give you guys anything, bullying is never going to go away. Bullying is truly a relationship situation. All
Mhm.
right. So even the person that's bullying, there's a relational issue there that's happening. That's the
Yep.
only reason they're doing it. It's strongly relationships connected. And I'll always say this: old school nurturing, old school upbringing is one of the key
components to helping us understand how to remedy bullying.
Yeah.
You know, secondly, find a martial arts school. I don't care. I don't care. As if you can find a martial arts school with teachers with true hearts, you know, that's a second thing to do. But you know, that communication is so effective and it's so important with parents. I stand by that. I'll even go into certain courses where I ask kids, what are the 3 things you can't stand about your parents?
Hmm.
And I remembered I did this in Milton, and the kids actually answered it. I'll even share this, even I don't know how much time we have, but I'll share it. One of them being kids can't stand seeing their parents mad. So there's 50 kids, so I could put this in ratio. Out of all the kids there, the majority of kids saw parents mad, big no-no. Okay? What's another thing you can't stand about your parents? Boom. Okay? They yell. My parents yell. 3. What's the third thing you can't stand about your parents? Okay? They get disappointed, they take things away. Right? So the parents heard that, and this was when I was lucky I had like a 2-day course. So the second day I came in, kids were loving the classes. If you check my Instagram, I had them running in military lines, like singing Muay Thai songs and all this stuff. It was really cool. The whole club loved it. And I had them sit down. And then nonchalantly, guys, I had the parents say, what are the 3 things you can't stand about your kids? And I told the kids I had your parents answer these questions. All the kids looked at their parents like, man, we're going to get our asses whooped when we get home. And I'm like, guys, you want to hear what they said? And they were like, yeah, what'd they say? 3 things that parents can't stand about their kids. They're terrifying. We can't control them. So that was like one answer. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, when they go out that door, it's just your word. Your word of what you taught them. That's what's going to hopefully get them back home. So parents are terrified. Secondly, kids are selfish. Okay?
But they're like that naturally. Like they're actually supposed to be. That's the thing, is they're wired that way to a certain age, right? You have to.
Hey, brother, I'm not trying to be a part of the debate. I am the mediator, and I'm just trying to bring the word to the defendant so the defendant could talk to the plaintiff, and somehow y'all can try and find a 50-50. That's a big thing about Bully Begon, you see? And I want to go on one side, you know. So selfish. That's what the parents said. And I looked at the kids, and the kids looked at me. I was like, hey man, hey, go put that glare over there. And then the last thing they said is what they can't stand about their kids is they forget. Hence, they don't appreciate. So when I said this to the kids, I guarantee you, the majority of the kids looked at their parents as the parents looked at the kids when they said what they said, and it was the absolute same sad, hurt look on either side, but in different age brackets, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they knew each other, but they didn't know each other. And then when I made them hear what they said, it was like it was like they needed 5 minutes of me just like closing the gym door and just letting them all talk to each other. Like they needed that. It was one of the most beautiful standstills I've ever had in an anti-bullying or a youth program that I've ever seen, where I've just said, guys, parents, what are your 3? Kids, what are your 3? Okay, now we have 6 words here. Let's mix them up together. All right? If I had to describe this whole group in these 6 words, how do you guys feel? And they just looked at each other as like, man, can we just talk, Dad, Mom? Can we just talk? And then I said this, I was like, before you guys think about all the bad things that could happen in school and all the things that you heard about school, or you guys getting the fights and the trouble that you guys did in school, look at your parents. And they all looked at their parents. And I was like, wouldn't it be too hard to believe that your parents probably did the same things you guys did right now? Maybe even double or even worse. And they have the experience that if you talk to them, they can give you a better story than I can that can change your life. And then all you heard was, oh. And I just hope I have more opportunity to do more of that. You know?
That's a powerful thing, man. That's a powerful thing. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Kru Dave.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, I think we need part 2, part 3, quite a few more.
Let me know, and then yeah. So sorry, sir. Go ahead.
No, I'm looking forward to your seminar too. So
I will be posting it. I try and post everything that what I do for work online, because I find that the more I show, even if it's something like just walking a dog, it's something to do with the movement of Bully Be Gone, or even like a martial artist. I learned a lot from Sifu Mark, and if it's one thing I learned this year is I need to start enjoying my simple time on my own. Because real martial artists, all the grandmasters, even the cool guys on TV, every hero has their place of solace. We're all Superman, dude. You know, like when you become a true martial artist, when we're leaders as we are in self-defense, you whether you want to believe it or not, you literally mark yourself as an X-Men, because the community needs it even though they don't see it. And one of the worst things that we do to ourselves is we don't take time for ourselves. And this year, God knows, in 2025, especially in January, I really started to like find more time for myself.
yeah,
Just to like calm down and make sure I'm good so I can help out more people.
yeah, we talk about that too. Like with our program, is the self-regulation, that time that you need, that interoception that really helps you kind of stay grounded. And we only need it more as we get older, just because of all the responsibilities and stuff like that we take care of. So,
Oh yeah.
But again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I mean, I've got so much more to say, but we don't have all the time.
Well,
so,
let's schedule another time to get to do this again, because there's so much more we could talk about. And if you're
Let's do that.
we'd love to put you down on our website as an affiliate and guide people who have youth in your area to go your way and seek you out for Bully Be Gone.
Please do send me whatever information you need from me, and our next part 2, we can specialize on what we want to talk about and get into more retrospect. We could talk about bullying. It's such a wide verse of things. I think what we did right now was a very general overcasting issue. Like, what is bullying? How does it affect people? Does it happen to adults? Does it happen to kids? What are the symptoms of it? How does it transcend in our everyday lives? You know, we just touched the starting block to it. And for me, I'm still a baby in this stuff, guys. Like, I'm still reading about human psychology, sports psychology, martial arts psychology. I'm only 44, and I'm now really trying to sit down and take in some like literature, educated literature on this stuff, and trying to adapt it to what I'm doing. Right? There's some good knowledge out there. So I hope that the next time that we do meet each other, if we have another specific topic, I will have more information and material and more stories, because I got the experience, guys. I have stories, of kids' success. I have stories with kids, at the bottom end of the line. I got parents who are succeeding with their kids, and I got parents that, I'm going to get a call at 12 o'clock tonight, most likely. And I'm talking to parents about like my 15-year-old teen, you know what I mean? So this goes on, and I'm just glad that there's people that want to hear about it. I'm glad that people want to be part of the solution. And I'm really, honestly, guys, this sounds cliche, but I'm really appreciative that high-end martial artists like you guys care about this stuff, because sometimes you don't hear about a lot of cool guys that understand martial arts the way that you guys do talk about this stuff. We didn't even talk about self-defense tactics once in this whole meeting. It was talking about, honestly, nurturing, communication, you know, being your brother's keeper. It talked about being a good friend to like a good responsible person to a child.
100%. That's
So
where
a
it
child could
starts.
look up, you know what I mean? We didn't talk about rear naked choke or karambits or projectiles or bullets. We talked about, I don't care what culture you're in. Trinidad, Jamaica, German, Canadian. We're talking about
This is
social upbringing.
this is real stuff. This is
Yeah.
that, like Mark just said, this is where it starts.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it with this statement. And somebody passed it to me after I had come out and talked about my struggle, but there I could send it to you guys. And it's a really good 30-minute thing, and it's called The Wounded Healer. And those two words basically sum up why I got into what I got into. I was wounded, still am, decided to get healed, help, and then discovered that I wanted to learn more about it. And that this is where I am now. And so, yeah, this where it starts is the comms, the communication, and having a conversation. That's it. The rest of it, wherever you want it to go, if you want to drive it, kind of like the martial, you know what, we'll use a martial arts term or whatever, where the head goes is the body's going to go, right? Attention and intention, they're correlative. So wherever we put our attention towards where we intend to be, it's going to make a difference. And I think what you're doing is exactly that. And so, like Mark said, more than happy to put your stuff on our website, promote your stuff, send people your way on the West End. The more people that do what we're doing, the better.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no
Thank you so
problem.
much.
Thank you so much for
That
coming
was a
on.
pleasure.
I hope the best for you guys. I hope the most success for you guys. I see what you guys are doing on Saturday when I'm doing what I have to do. Um, I just hope that you guys get whatever you guys want out of life and you're fulfilled. It's a lot of great stuff what you're doing. I know when I have a little bit more time and I'm a little bit more streamlined with my work, I will be venturing into more of the hobbies and the crafts that I see you guys doing on the side, which I think is honestly, it's a very important of our, you know, country upbringing and our social upbringing as men. You know, we have to learn how to be protectors, and to learn to be protectors, you have to learn about what tools are out there to protect with. And if you don't, it's kind of ignorant. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It truly is. So, especially for the kids that I talk to, you know, they talk to me about, you know, violence, and they talk to me about warfare and like, you know, street fighting and weapons and all that stuff. And I tell them like, if you don't educate yourself about these things, someone will. And
Yep.
I'm totally happy that I see people doing that around me, because there's certain Seafood Mark might know this or might not know this. I do have a little bit of a fear and apprehensiveness of projectiles. All right, unless it's hunting, and if it's not the movies, I do have a problem with these things in my hands. You know, bad history is bad history. So when I see people that are studying these things with the good hearts that I see people with, it makes me more comfortable to take a step further to learn it for myself. So I want you guys to know that what you guys are doing, whether you don't see it or whether you do see it, I want you to know that I'm watching you guys, and I'm one of those guys that thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Awesome. All right. Until next time. Have an awesome
Take care,
night.
everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great night. And hey, a couple days ago, happy Father's Day.
Yes, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Appreciate it.
God bless you guys.
Take
God
care,
bless.
brother.
Thanks.